The Devil's Bride of Raven Hill. Incident date, November 2011, Salem County, Massachusetts, USA. In late autumn of 2011, the small rural town of Blackford, Massachusetts, was surrounded by hills that glowed red and gold under the fading sun. Just beyond the main road stood Raven Hill, a stretch of forest that looked beautiful from afar but was avoided by locals after dark. They whispered about Margaret Holloway, a 17th-century witch who made a pact with Satan himself, burned at the stake during the Salem witch trials. She cursed the land, vowing to rise again every few decades to feed on the blood of the living. 4 friends, Jessica, Hannah, Claire, and Brooke, all in their early 20s, decided to spend a weekend photographing abandoned places for Jessica's art project. Jessica, the adventurous leader; Hannah, sarcastic and bold; Claire, sweet but superstitious; and Brooke, the quiet observer. At a diner, an old man warned them, "Don't set foot on Raven Hill after sundown. She'll smell you." They exchanged amused glances, assuming it was just small-town folklore. By late afternoon, they parked their SUV near a forgotten trail. The hill was breathtaking. Golden leaves carpeted the ground. The air was crisp with the scent of wood smoke, and the ruins of an old stone chapel stood hidden among twisted oaks. Jessica couldn't resist exploring, even as the sun dipped below the horizon. As night fell, the temperature plummeted. A cold, metallic scent hung in the air. The wind stopped. From the shadows of the ruined chapel, a tall, skeletal woman in a shredded black gown emerged. Her skin was the color of ash, her hair wild and matted, and her eyes glowed a hellish crimson. Margaret Holloway's lips curled into a grin, revealing teeth far too long for a human mouth. Before anyone could run, Jessica was lifted into the air by an unseen force. The witch's long, claw-like fingers made a slow, twisting gesture, and Jessica's body slammed into the ground with a sickening crack. She tried to scream, but Margaret's bony hands gripped her jaw and tore her head back. With an animal-like growl, she bit deep into Jessica's throat, drinking until blood ran down her chin. Claire vomited. Brooke clamped the hand over her mouth. Hannah shouted, "You bitch," and hurled a rock at her. It passed straight through her as if hitting smoke. Margaret vanished into the night, leaving Jessica's body limp and broken on the leaves. The next day, the girls tried to escape, but no matter which path they took, they returned to the chapel ruins. Phones were dead, GPS spun uselessly. As night approached again, they armed themselves with a rusted axe they found in an abandoned shack, and night came in silence. The witch emerged in the same spot, her face now stained with dried blood. She lunged at Claire. Hannah swung the axe, but Margaret caught the blade with her bare hand. Snapping it in two, she whispered something in an ancient tongue, and Claire's body began to convulse. Bones cracked one by one until she collapsed screaming. Margaret seized her, slamming her into the ground over and over, then bit into her stomach, ripping chunks of flesh with her teeth. Hannah dragged Brooke away, both crying and shaking uncontrollably. By the third night, they knew it would be Hannah next. She sharpened a wooden stake and coated it in silver from a broken locket she wore. "We end this tonight," she told Brooke. When the witch appeared, Hannah charged, screaming, and drove the stake toward her chest, but Margaret caught her by the throat. Lifting her into the air, Hannah kicked and struggled, managing to stab her shoulder. But the witch's eyes only burned brighter. She slammed Hannah into the stone floor of the chapel so hard her spine snapped. Then, like a predator savoring a kill, she tore her heart out and ate it while Brooke watched in horror. Paralyzed with terror, Brooke was the last shaking. Her mind raced back to a research paper she once read. The only way to destroy a witch bound by satanic pact was to pierce her heart with silver during the devil's hour and burn her remains with consecrated salt. That final night, at 3 a.m., the witch came for her. Brooke lit a circle of salt and held a silver letter opener she'd found in a collapsed desk. Margaret stepped into the circle, laughing, but the salt flared with unnatural light. The witch hissed, momentarily weakened. Brooke lunged forward, stabbing the silver deep into her chest. Margaret screamed, her voice twisting into an inhuman shriek that echoed across the hill. Brooke kicked her into the fire she'd prepared, the flames devouring her body until nothing remained but black ash. When the sun rose, the forest felt warm again. Birds returned. Brooke walked for hours until she found a road. The police found no bodies, only ash where the chapel stood. To this day, locals claim that every 10 years, the leaves on Raven Hill turn black for a single night, and a woman's scream echoes from the ruins. The Blackwood Witch, True Horror Story, 2013. Location: Blackwood Forest, Vermont, USA. Incident year: 2013. In the northeastern United States. In Vermont, lies a forest called Blackwood Forest. By day, it looks like a paradise. Snow-covered hills, the reflection of a blue sky in the lake, and the songs of birds. But at night, it transforms into another world entirely. Local legends tell of Margaret Holloway, a woman accused of witchcraft in 1894 and burned alive. Before she died, she declared, "I will return once every century, for 4 souls." Quote, the girl's arrival, in October 2013, 4 friends, Emily, Jessica, Hannah, and Rachel, came to Blackwood Forest for a weekend camping trip. They were there for a photography project. Enchanted by the forest's beauty, they set up their tents by the lake. The first night was peaceful, until after midnight when the air suddenly turned icy cold. The leaves stopped rustling, and the lake water froze in stillness. Night 1, Emily's death. From the middle of the lake, a shadow emerged, a woman with a charred face, burning eyes, and rusted iron chains in her hands. She moved faster than the wind, grabbed Emily by the throat, and slammed her into the ground. Her scream echoed through the forest. Bones cracked, and then the witch dragged her into the lake. The remaining 3 girls clung to each other in terror, staying awake until dawn. Night 2, Jessica's end. Jessica decided they should escape, but as they passed by the lake, thick fog enveloped them. From within it, the witch appeared, seized Jessica by the neck, and smashed her against a tree trunk. Hannah and Rachel screamed in horror but couldn't move. Jessica's body was twisted, her eyes lifeless. Night 3, Hannah's turn. Hannah tried to create a circle of salt for protection, but with a wave of her hand, the witch sent a black cloud of smoke that scattered the salt away. She then pressed her burnt hands on Hannah's chest, sucking the breath from her lungs, drawing a stream of blue smoke from her mouth before swallowing it. Rachel stood frozen in place, crying helplessly. Final night, Rachel's revenge. Rachel was now the only one left. Realizing there was no point in running, she searched an abandoned farmhouse nearby and found a rusted iron cross and a can of gasoline. She set the cross on fire. When the witch attacked, Rachel plunged the burning cross into her chest. The witch let out an inhuman scream that shook the entire forest before dissolving into smoke. At sunrise, Rachel reached the police station. The bodies of her 3 friends were never found, only their tents, burnt soil, and blood stains near the lake. To this day, locals claim that when fog rolls into Blackwood Forest, you can hear the screams of 3 girls and see the burning eyes of the witch watching from the water.